We just getting started, baby. Did anybody see what Mr. Wardell Steph Curry did to the Portland Trailblazers? They were nobodies. They beat the Giants. Trash. They beat the Broncos. Trash. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, my man's was Super Saiyan. I couldn't wear this until we actually caught a dub. And he did all of this damage in 36 minutes. Let that sink in. They beat the Eagles, trash. The Cowboys, trash. The Bengals, trash. The Jaguars, trash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on Rob's 2 Cents. My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome y'all back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 Cents. What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling? Hope everybody enjoyed the weekend, baby. But now, we back to regularly scheduled program. Hope you guys are getting your week in order, setting goals, and continuing to be productive. Right now, we got a little bit of a break from the NBA. They won't be back until March 10th, so we got a couple days to rest, which the fellas definitely deserve, especially after the show they put on for us this weekend. I know a lot of people, including certain NBA players like LeBron and a couple other players, were against having an all-star weekend, or at least against having an all-star game, especially with the threat of COVID continuing to loom. COVID actually did kind of interfere with the All-Star game. So I'm going to be, giving you guys the breaking news on what's going on. Got a big contract signing in the NFL. Breaking news. You heard it here first on Rob's 2 Cents. Got a lot to discuss on this week's episode. So go ahead, grab your a bucket of popcorn, sit down, kick your feet up, and let's get ready to enjoy a great show, because you know that this is the hottest sports conversation in the nation. Let's dive right in. And we can't talk about anything without first mentioning what a great job the NBA did with this All-Star game, with this All-Star festivities. As you know, due to COVID, they were out there. They did everything in one day. So, Atlanta was definitely lit this weekend. I know so many people that went to Atlanta. I myself wanted to go. Got work, still dealing with my injured foot. Not to mention, there's a lot of people out there not wearing no mask. So, you got to be careful of that. But Atlanta was lit, and it looked like people had some great times. They did have a couple celebrity games out there, but everybody was out there for the main attraction, which was All-Star Night. And as you know, they had the skills competition and the three-point contest on the pre-show. Then they jumped right into the All-Star game and then held the dunk contest at halftime, and then finished up the All-Star game. It was a blowout, needless to say. The stars came out to play in this game. Team Bron defeated Team Durant 170-150. It was just too much of Team Bron. Let's first of all, let's talk about my boy GM Bron. Cause my boy know how to pick a team, don't he? Hey, I don't care what y'all say. The GOAT debate with Michael Jordan and LeBron is gonna always be a thing. Okay, until we get the next rising young GOAT, to step up and try to dismantle these two juggernauts that we know as NBA players. But let me just tell you guys something. When it comes to the GM debate, LeBron is a better GM than Michael Jordan. Now granted, Michael Jordan he bought us LaMelo Ball, but Michael Jordan also bought us Kwame Brown, Adam Morrison. So Michael Jordan hasn't always been the best GM, but my boy Bron. GM Bron know how to put a team together. His team was led by last season's regular season MVP, the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, as he scored 35 points, shooting 16 of 16 from the field, including 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Did he call bank on some of those threes? No. We saw he glassed it, but when you're hot, you're hot. And a game like this is perfect for Giannis. You talking about a game in which we can just run fast breaks and dunk the ball. Oh, that's right up Giannis' alley because that's his game. But he has some help. My boy Damian Lillard, aka Dame Dollar, aka Logo Lillard, had 32 going 13 to 20 from the field and 8 to 16 from the three-point line, including hitting the game-winning three-pointer, which he literally took one step inside the half-court line and launched. And the interaction between him and Steph that game was just crazy. Speaking of Steph, a.k.a. Chef, he had 28 points. He shot 10 to 19 from the field. He also shot 8 to 16 from distance. So let me just tell you about Team Bron. They had a couple great sequences that game. We'll get into that in 1 second. Let me tell you what Team Durant did. They will be led by the leading scorer, Brother Bradley Beal, who went for 26 points, 10 to 16 from the field, 6 to 12 from the three-point line. Kyrie will also pitch in. He ended the game with 24 points off of 10 to 15 shooting. He also had 5 dimes that game. 12 dimes that game. Way to go, Kyrie. Way to go. 12 dimes is beautiful. And then James Harden, of course, the bigger one, had 21, shooting 7 to 14 from the field, 7 to 13 from the three-point line. All of his points were from the three-point line. But we know James can just get hot. Now, how I did mention that COVID affected this game. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons didn't play this game due to COVID protocol. So what happened was, from what I'm reading, from what I'm understanding happened, they went to a barber. I want to say it was in Philly before they got to Atlanta. Luckily, they both flew in private planes, so they didn't risk any exposure to anybody else. Not for sure, or nothing was stated on whether or not they had COVID, but they went to a barber who tested positive for COVID. So because of that, they couldn't play in the All-Star game, which sucked. I mean, at first we were keeping our fingers crossed because they were saying that the barber's tests were inconclusive, so they had to do another test on him. But unfortunately, the barber came back positive, which, as you know, COVID procedure, not just in the NBA, but pretty much in the world right now. If you come in contact with somebody that has the COVID-19 virus, you have to quarantine for those 7 to 14 days. About to say business days like I'm at work. But man, it sucked because I would have really loved to see Embiid play in this game. I would have liked to see the interaction of LeBron with Ben Simmons, Steph with Ben Simmons. That would have been a great look, and a great look for Philly because, you know, right now Philly is the best team in the East, and right now they're contenders. They looking like they're going to be contending with the Brooklyn Nets. So it would have been an interesting dynamic just to see all those players out there on the court with that little hidden animosity. But overall, it was a great game. I mean, excuse me. We saw a couple sequences from. All right, let me tell you guys about this sequence. So first, Chris Paul throws Damian Lillard an alley-oop. So Damian Lillard catches the alley-oop. So Chris Paul's on the out of bounds play. He alley-oops to Steph Curry, who goes up and get it. And he didn't just barely get that. Steph put that ball down. You know, we so used to seeing Steph shoot threes, but it was amazing to see him dunk the ball. And then right on a fast break play, Steph splits the defenders. He throws an alley-oop to Chris Paul, who goes up there and get the ball. You know, old man CP3, the point guard, showing he still got them boyoings. It was just a great game. Steph Curry and Damian Lillard just taking turns shooting logo threes. Like, oh, you can shoot that? Oh, you know, I revolutionized that, right? And then Dame came back and was like, oh, well, you know, you introduced it, but I made it mine. You know, including, like I said, he stepped in 1 foot from the three-point line and hit the game winner. It was Dame time. Just a great game on Team Durant's side of the ball. Kyrie being Kyrie. It looked like he was trying to steal the ball from everybody. Kyrie was out there playing D. He was hawking. I even like that little interaction between him and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, you know, former Celtics teammates, looked like he wanted to give it to Kyrie. He started getting in his bag, and Kyrie was like, nah, bruh. And he stole the ball from him too. And I'm just like, okay, Kyrie. You even saw Chris Paul and James Harden. They got into a little mix-up. Nothing big, and probably something you wouldn't have noticed unless you really watch the NBA. But, you know, them being former teammates in Houston, they clashed heads. Chris Paul was trying to steal the ball from James Harden. James Harden kind of nudged him, almost pushed Chris Paul out of bounds. I mean, it's always interesting to see these players come together. Hey, it's like, hey, we playing for a bigger cause. However, hey, I ain't forgot about you, player. I ain't forgot. I still owe you a receipt. But it was just a great game. One of the big things that was great to see was them playing, for the HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? It was just beautiful to see, these historically black colleges, finally get their time and the prime time, in the stars and lights and Robert Covington who played in the skills competition. I think he even went to a HBCU. So it was just great to see, being a black man, you see all these other colleges and all these other foundations, get this attention. So, to point, our fund, well, their funds, I shouldn't say our, because I ain't got no money to donate. But for them to, direct their funds and their energy and their time and their platform to celebrate these colleges who it's some great people that graduated from these colleges. You know what I mean? It was just great to see. I know people are like, don't make it a color thing. It's not about a color thing. But when you've been on the bottom for so long, yes, you're going to smile when you start to get a little bit of equality, man. Hey, everybody should feel that. So it was a great game overall. Again, Team Bron went out there and they dominated. I love, again, the Kobe tribute of how they combine, they accumulate all the scores of the leading team and add 24 points to that, and that becomes your target score. So, of course, 170 became the target score. It was just, like I said, it was just too much of Team Bron. You got Dame, you got Steph, you got Luka, you got Giannis, you had CP3. I mean, they were just stacked. Can't wait to see the All-Star game next year. Hopefully, COVID allows us to actually attend and enjoy the weekend. I was reading somewhere that the NBA was trying their best to send a cease and stop and whatever it's called, those stop orders to parties. People were still trying to, throw celebrity parties and, I understand, COVID is out here, but people still want to live their lives, but you want to party safely. So, the NBA did everything they can to make this a safe weekend. Some things are just out of their control. As much as Adam Silver, wants to get, try to recoup some of the money lost from last season, even though he keeps trying to tell people this is not about the money. Them having that All-Star game was about the money. Let's just keep it 100. But yeah, I was great. I was glad to see the All-Star game. Glad to see the stars come out. Bron didn't do too much in this game. Bron only played the first half. He had like 4 points. I think he was 2 of 6, 2 of 7 from the field. He didn't play any of the second half. Bron just simply showed up because he had to. He's the face of the NBA. And you know how LeBron is when it comes to his image and his business. He's gonna represent the NBA with class and dignity. And it was just a great showing, And, hey, hold on. First of all, him and Steph looked a little too comfortable out there. I ain't trying to put bugs in people's ears. But, man, we know how some of these super teams get started off this All-Star game love, off this Olympic game love. Steph and Bron look like they was having too much fun out there. I better not be seeing Steph try to go to the Lakers. That's all I'm saying. But, Bron, you more than welcome to come to the Warriors, my boy. Also, as I mentioned, they had the three-point competition in the pregame show. And Steph won, And I feel bad because I did make predictions. I did have Team Bron winning, so I won that. I got that prediction right. However, Steph wasn't the MVP. Giannis was the MVP, so I got that wrong. But I did get the three-point competition prediction right. Because when you see a man on camera, where there's actual video footage, hit 105 threes in a row, regardless of where he was standing at on the court, whether he was moving or not, to hit 5 threes in a row is hard, let alone 105 threes. It's hard to go against that man. And Steph made history last night. He won his second contest. The first win he got was back in 2015. But he had 31. He had 31 in his first round. It was out of a possible 40 points. You have your traditional 5 racks out there. Uh, 4 racks have the money ball, and then 1 rack has nothing but money balls. And then, as you know, in the 3-point competition now, they have the Mountain Dew logo 3 challenge, and you can get 3 extra points if you hit those 2 shots. So in the first round, Mike Conley kind of put the pressure. I think he went for like 27, 28. Yeah, he went for like 28. Mike Conley came out there, shooting. He was a late scratch in, not only for the 3-point competition, but for the All-Star game as well, because Devin Booker was injured. And which I honestly think, y'all, Devin Booker was just like, the hell with this game. You didn't vote me in. I was not on the first ballot of reserves. You voted me in only because Anthony Davis got hurt. So you know what? Guess what? I'm hurt. And if he did do that, more power to you, D Book. I wouldn't even be mad at you. You got to have that type of chip on your shoulder in order to be great. But Mike Conley came in and he did great as a last minute scratch in. He did amazing. And but Steph came with it, man. Got 31. He hit one of those Mountain Dew logo threes. And then in the second round, Mike Conley set the tone. He came out, he hit 27. And Steph was like, okay, well, I guess I got to go for 28 now. So Steph came out, won the 3-point competition on the last minute bucket because it really came down to that last rack. He only could afford to miss 1 shot. He did what he had to do to get the W. And we know that a lot of people like to question Steph's clutchness, but let's be real. Steph is the greatest shooter we've ever seen in the NBA, and we're probably not going to ever see another shooter like Steph Curry. That man is a machine. I mean, even some of the shots he hit in the All-Star game, like he had 1 3 where he caught the ball. Well, no, matter of fact, he was dribbling the ball and he lost it. And it went back to the logo and he literally grabbed it, picked it up, turned around, shot the ball all net. No glass, no bounce, lucky bounce in. He switched it. The man is a cheat code, y'all. I call Steph Curry the human cheat code. And that's what I'm going to do this for him. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter we've ever seen in NBA history. Period, point blank. That man is a cheat code. Steph wins the second 3-point competition. I would love to see him get 3 to join that illustrious list with just Craig Hodges and the great legend Larry Bird. We also had the dunk contest on halftime. Anthony Simons surprised me, y'all. Now, we know the dunk contest consisted of bench players and G League players. Unless you are really a hardcore basketball fan, you probably didn't recognize any 3 of those guys. But they came out and put on the show. Now, I think Cassius Stanley got cheated on his first go-around. His dunk was definitely better than what the judges scored him at, but sometimes judges get caught up in trying to leave themselves room to vote higher. They want to set the tone and say, hey, you got to bring it in this dunk competition. And I think that got to Cassius Stanley because he wasn't able to connect on his second dunk. Obi Toppin came out with a great dunk. However, it was pretty much mimicked the same dunk I was just talking about my last show that we seen Zach LaVine do. Man, Zach LaVine, get back in this competition. Eric Gordon, we need y'all, man. We need one more show. But Anthony Simons, he came out. He took a little rim. He put it at like 11 feet. He put the basketball on top of the little rim, and he jumped up 11 feet to grab the basketball off the little rim and dunk it in the regular rim. I'm like, holy crap. This dude got bounce. He got them boing. Hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. Anthony Simons came to play. Second dunk, he paid homage to T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, when he did the, it was like a 360 windmill double hand dunk. He pulled it off. And then for his final dunk, he did a kiss the rim dunk. Now, he didn't literally kiss the rim. You know, it's physically impossible to do that without hurting yourself. But his head was up there, his lips were at rim level, and I was just shocked because we're talking about somebody who only had 2 dunks in the regular season. And he is not known for his leaping ability. He's known for being a good role player, can hit the 3 ball, can play a little defense, very minimum defense, but he can play a little defense. But he's known mostly as a 3-point, knockdown shooter. I did not know Anthony Simons could dunk like that. That young man that made a name for himself last night. And then last but not least, Domantas Sabonis won the skill challenge. I know the big fella Shaq predicted that. The big fellas, I don't know what it is. The big fellas win the skills competition. These point guards, they come out there, they be lackadaisical. They think it's just going to come easy, but these big men, they come into play. I want to say every round that Domantas had, he connected the pass on the first pass. 2 of those rounds, I believe he connected his 3 on the first 3. And then he went back and forth with Vucevic. Him and Nikola Vucevic from the Orlando Magic were the last 2 players left in that skills competition. They both hit their passes on the first try, got the layup. It came down to that 3 ball, and then they were able to shoot it out. Domantas was able to pull it out. We know he's a skilled big man. If you don't know who his father is, if you're not a hardcore basketball fan, I advise you to go look up Arvydas Sabonis. That is Domantas' father. Arvydas Sabonis played for the Portland Trailblazers, I want to say around in the late 90s, mid-90s, late 90s. He came late. He came to the NBA while he was a little older, so he played most of his prime years overseas. But let me just tell you, even as an older guy, he was just too much for defenders to handle. Arvydas used to have his way. I believe he's a Hall of Famer, and he's rightfully so because he was a monster. I've actually watched film on Arvydas Sabonis, and he was somebody that really knew how to use his body and get to where he want to get to on the floor. And that's why we see that Domantas kind of possesses the same skill that his father had. Domantas Sabonis from the Indiana Pacers wins the skills challenge. Excuse me. But now we're going to get a little serious now, okay? Oh, we're going to get a little serious now because now we have to talk about Blake Griffin went to the Nets, y'all, in case y'all didn't know. Thank you for being with me. Let me take a sip of my agua. Blake Griffin has gone to the Brooklyn Nets. We knew this move was coming. Once Blake and the Pistons agreed to the buyout of his contract, we knew the writing was on the wall. Blake Griffin will now join KD, Kyrie, and James Harden on that Brooklyn Nets team and on their quest to not only be the most dominant team ever assembled, but on their quest to accumulate NBA gold. What's the old adage? The rich has just gotten richer. The 31-year-old Blake Griffin is a 6-time All-Star who's averaged 21.4 points and 8.7 rebounds since being the number 1 pick back in the 2009 draft. However, in his 20 games that he's played with Detroit this season, he's only averaged 12.3 points and 5.2 rebounds. Luckily for him, the Nets don't need him for scoring, as they are the best team in the league at that, as they are the highest offensive rated team, averaging 121 points per game. They don't need you to score, Blake. What they need from Blake is his rebounding and his skills. They need a person that can just fill the lane because the Brooklyn Nets were lacking in that size department. And picking up Blake Griffin, no, he's not going to change your life defensively. However, you're not going to be so quick to just run in the hole with the person that's 6'9", standing there. Now, we know injuries have rendered Blake from the Blake we knew. And I'm talking about athletic Blake. I'm talking about dunking on Ganilla Garnario, Blake jumping over a roof of a car in the NBA dunk contest, Blake. However, Blake has transitioned himself into a three-level scorer, meaning he can post you up in the paint. He got a nice little post game. He can also shoot the mid-range, and he can shoot the three-point ball. Now, they're saying that Blake is going to be coming off the bench, which is good because now you're gonna have Big Blake setting the tone for that bench squad, which consists of like TLC, Bruce Brown, not Joe Harris, I can't think of the other play. Helping DeAndre Jordan get a little rest because now you don't have to try to extend his minutes so much in order for you to keep some length in the court. So, man, let me tell y'all, man, Brooklyn is going to be looking good right now. Like I said, they're the league best in scoring. They number 2 in assists. They average 27.2 assists. That's, definitely thanks in part to James Harden, who leads in that department because right now he's averaging 11.1 assists a game, and he leads the league in assists. You want to talk about a matchup nightmare? Brooklyn are it right now, and they still look to be trying to fill one more roster spot. I'm hearing rumors about possibly, getting Andre Drummond in there, which will definitely be like, man, because now you can move DeAndre to the bench and start with Dre. And let me tell you, they get Andre Drummond. Yeah, it's gonna be hard, LA. And we got a lot to talk about that too, because that trade deadline is definitely coming up. I'm gonna mention that a little bit later in the show. But the Brooklyn Nets just went from scary to scarier because I don't know what it is about when you know that you have a chance to play for a championship. You definitely raise your level of play. And Blake just knew, the writing was on the wall in Detroit. He's probably going to be missing out on about $10 million because he agreed to like a $29 million buyout. They still owed him 40 because he had an option next season. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, in order to win a ring out here. Blake said it's about time to add some NBA gold to his illustrious career. And it's been a great season so far in the NBA. The first half of the season got rocked by some unexpected news when James Harden joined the Nets. Looking at how the Utah Jazz surprised everybody by being the best team in the league. The Knicks, the New York Knickerbockers, who would have imagined that the Knicks would be in 5th place in the East and just looking like a great team, especially being the number 1 defensive ranked team in the league. Even though Tom Thibodeau is their coach, we didn't see this coming from the Knicks as they are continuing to their balling in the garden. But we also saw some crazy performances in this league so far in the first half of the season. Let's talk about some of the regular season performances we've seen so far. Can't forget about Steph. Steph got to lead the pack. Remember, he had 62 points in that win versus the Trailblazers when the Golden State Warriors won 137-122. Bradley Beal comes right behind him, not to be outdone, saying, hey, don't forget, I am the league leading scorer. He comes out and scores 60 points, but there was in the loss against the 76ers, 136-141. Steph Curry say, hold on, I can do it again. As he go for 57 points, but they lost to the Dallas Mavericks, 132-134. Fred Van Fleet, the surprise on this list. I remember when he went for that 54 points against the Magic in a win, 123-108. And Fred Van Vliet definitely is earning all the money that Toronto wanted to pay him. I'm definitely happy to see him flourishing in his career. Joel Embiid, as we know as of recently, went for 50 points in a win versus my Chicago Bulls, 112-105. I believe he also had 17 rebounds that game. Just playing big, definitely showing why he's an MVP candidate. And then the Joker said, hey, you ain't the only big man that could go for 50. People call Nikola Jokic the Joker, probably the most skilled big man in the league, as he went for 50 points, but it was a loss to the Kings. Joel Embiid's 50 was better. You lost to Sacramento. And then Jamal Murray, to wrap it up, went for 50 himself in a win versus the Cavaliers, 120-103. So we've seen some great performances this year. My second half expectations, though, I got some teams to watch for in the second half. I got three teams I'm gonna tell you about in the East and three teams in the West. In the East, my three teams will be Philadelphia, the Boston Celtics, and of course the Brooklyn Nets. Let's go into why I'm going to be watching these people. You know, the Philadelphia 76ers, they currently sit in the first place in the East with the record of 24-12. They ended the first half of the season on a 2-game winning streak. However, we don't know when they'll be back to full strength because, as you know, their MVP candidate, Joel Embiid, their leading point guard, Ben Simmons, they're going to be out for a couple of games due to that COVID. Not to mention, remember, prior to Tobias Harris was out with that knee contusion. So, you know, that's their big three. You definitely need Tobias because Tobias kind of anchors the ship on that scoring side, especially when Embiid can't seem to find his range. So I'm definitely going to be watching out for the 76ers. Also interested to see, will they be able to maintain their top spot in the East? I doubt that they stay in first place. However, I don't see them dropping any lower than third. I'm also going to be keeping my eyes on the Boston Celtics. Now, we know, you guys know, I did a segment on the Boston Celtics, man. It was trouble in Beantown. But right now, they've been playing some great basketball. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't about how you start, it's about how you finish. Because in the beginning, we know that they were having point guard issues. I know, me personally, I felt as if Kemba didn't do enough. They were definitely missing Marcus Smart, and I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had to just turn it up to a new gear. Hopefully, this time away is gonna get them ready for the second half of the season. But hell, they ended the first half of the season on a good note. They were on a 4-game win streak, and they quietly moved into fourth place in the Eastern Conference. We gotta remember, not too long ago, they were like in 10th. 9th to 10th, they were looking like they weren't even going to make the play in. But Boston stand pride and true, standing proud and true, I should say. Hey, they are not going. You know, Jason Tatum got a little Kobe in him. He had some conversations with Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace before he passed. And you can definitely see the mentorship that Kobe gave to Jason Tatum definitely show through his game. I mean, he has a nice little fadeaway. He gets to his spots very easily. And just Jaylen Brown is just a stud. We want to talk about athleticism. You want to talk about strong. You want to talk about I need a bucket, go get me one. And somebody that's not afraid in the moment. You're talking about Jaylen Brown. So I believe in this Boston Celtics team. I believe that they can make a little noise in the playoffs, make it difficult for some people, especially the healthier that they begin to get. I like Tristan Thompson over there. You know, as we know, he's a championship big man. He's a championship winning big man. Playing under LeBron, so he's bringing that veteran experience to this group. And I believe that Kemba will get hot at the right time because they definitely need his scoring. That's what he was there for, man. We know that you're a liability on defense, so if you're not scoring, we can't play with you, Kemba. So I really think that Boston is going to definitely make some noise. And, hey, don't look now. They're 2 games over 500 with their current record being 19 of 17. But last but not least, I know we just spoke about them, but I cannot talk about any team in the East without saying I'm going to be watching the Nets. The Nets are must-see TV. They were already must-see TV before they got Blake Griffin. Now you got Blake Griffin. I'm very interested to see how this is going to work out. The Nets right now, they ended the first half of the season on a 2-game win streak. They're also 9-1 in their last 10 games. Not to mention, they're in second place in the East and only a half game back from Philly for the from first place. Now, keep in mind, they didn't have James Harden to start the season. He got traded midway through the first couple of months of the season after he forced his way out of Houston. Not to mention, KD has missed 18 games. He missed 9 games due to COVID and missed the remaining 9 games due to this hamstring injury. Hopefully, they'll get him back on the 11th when they play against Boston. Ironic, right? But remember, we haven't seen KD since February 13th in that win versus the Warriors. So, and he opted out, to continue to get some rest on that hamstring, not playing in an All-Star game, which was a travesty to Team Durant because you were definitely needed, bro. But Brooklyn, man, they definitely gonna be on my TV screen. Definitely gonna have their games highlighted on the calendar as must see games. I'm ready to see if they can actually pull it off and win the championship together. And as far as the West, of course, I'm going to be looking out for the Suns, Lakers, and Trailblazers. Mentioning the Suns first, as you know, that was my pick to be the dark horse in the NBA. I just knew the impact that Chris Paul was going to have on his team. They don't call him the point guard for no reason. Again, Denver went 10-0 in the bubble, undefeated in the bubble. So they were already making a statement. You adding Chris Paul is like putting icing on the cake. So the Suns, they've been on a mission this season. And I expect them to only get better, especially in the second half, as long as they can continue to stay healthy. Right now, they have a record of 24-11. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They ended the first half of the season on a 4-game winning streak. Not to mention they are in second place in the Western Conference. I doubt Devin Booker stays out for too long. I think he was just suffering from like a sore ankle. So I do believe he'll be making his return and getting his team back to full strength. And the question marks are always going to be around Chris Paul. Can you stay healthy going into the playoffs and help your team accomplish a deep playoff run? Definitely going to be watching out for the Phoenix Suns. Also, as far as the Lakers are concerned, they need to get healthy because I'm going to be watching the Lakers as well, and possibly need to make a move before the deadline, the trade deadline, because without AD, they're being exposed. They have a lack of big men there. Marc Gasol is just not it for you. He's old. He's not the Marc Gasol of old. He stays in foul trouble. He has his moments where he can give you a couple good key buckets, but defensively he is a liability, and Montrez is just too small. His heart is there. His height just ain't there. What I say, you can't teach height. I'm sorry. And especially in a league now where we're starting to see more big men, and these big men are more skilled. They're more than just back you down and skyhook. I mean, these guys are hitting people with the dream shake. They can shoot from the perimeter. Man, the big men in today's NBA are scary to play. Right now, without AD, the Lakers have moved down to third place in the Western Conference as they continued their downward trend, only winning 3 games out of their last 10 games. And they're currently on a 2-game losing streak. I'm sorry. And the Lakers are just looking for some answers right now. However, as long as LeBron is there, I'm not counting the Lakers out. They'll continue to be must-see TV. I mean, there's still no definitive answer on if LeBron will make the finals this year, just based off the competition that we're seeing right now in the NBA. However, it is hard to discount the king and his greatness and his legend, because we know when the playoffs come around, LeBron becomes a different person. He is not that same LeBron that's smiling and laughing with everybody. He becomes hungry, and he is hungry for championships, and he is making his bread and butter by being a person that is consistently in the NBA Finals. Lastly, I'm going to be watching the Portland Trailblazers very closely, because even without their second and third best players, things are looking up for the Trailblazers. They currently sit in 5th place in the Western Conference. They're 21-14 on the year. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they are currently on a 3-game winning streak. Not to mention they should be getting some much needed help back, because I know C.J. McCullough and Yusuf Nurkic were reevaluated on March 2nd. So I'm definitely going to be looking for that injury report to see if they got any expected timetable on when these two superstars will be back. But, Dame has just been on a mission this year. He has been showing everybody that he is probably one of the clutchest players in the NBA. When you need a bucket in the fourth quarter and you want to get the W and get up out of here, you better be looking for Dame Dollar. Because when he tell you it's Dame time equal game time. And he ain't got to call bank. He called game. Let me tell y'all something, boy. That boy is clutch. Right now, Dame Dollar's proven why he's also an MVP candidate, averaging 29.8 points a game, and he has just been old reliable when it comes down to those clutch buckets. Definitely going to be keeping my eyes out for Dame. Got a couple quick hitters, you guys, before we end tonight's show. The NBA trade deadline. I know you guys keep hearing me talk about this. It will end March 25th. So teams right now are probably going to be making a mad dash. I don't see too much movement going on in the NBA, but I do believe it's going to be one or two surprises that we might not see coming before this trade deadline ends. Also, we saw a couple of celebrity games this past weekend with the All-Star game. Let me tell you guys something, man. Hey, you celebrities, man, y'all rappers, stick to rapping, man. Stick to rapping, because woo, did you see the way Fab airballed those 2 3-pointers? Fab was there with Bobby Shmurda holding the interview, and of course, he mentioned the fact that he's from New York, and New Yorkers feel like when it comes to basketball lives and dies in New York. Man, hey, Fab got caught wolfing because the interviewer told him, "All right, Fab, we're gonna allow you to shoot this 3-pointer, and if you hit, $25,000 is gonna be going to the Negro College Fund." And man, let me tell y'all something, man. My man's airballed the first 3, so she let him know, we still gonna give him the money anyway. But don't you want to redeem yourself and try to shoot again? Bobby Shmurda making excuses for him, like, man, maybe his chain's too heavy or whatnot. Man, do you know this man airballed that 3 again? But that wasn't as bad as Lil Baby. Oh my goodness, Lil Baby, boy. It's called a free throw for a reason. Ain't nobody sticking you. You can take your time and shoot that bucket. There ain't no way in hell you was supposed to miss like that, Lil Baby. Lord Jesus. Hey, you guys are cold at rapping. Sometimes we gotta stick to what we know. But I'm glad those guys had a good time, man. I'm just poking a little fun at them. Also, AEW gonna jump to wrestling for a little bit because they have just signed a new acquisition, and his name is Christian. For my old school wrestling fans that watched wrestling during the Attitude Era, Christian was part of that famous tag team known as Edge and Christian, where they would do their 5-second poses. First made his stint with the Brood, which was like the vampire clique in the WWE. He is now all elite. Just to read you off a couple of accolades that Christian has achieved in his career. He's won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship 1 time. He's a 2-time ECW champ. He's a 1-time European champion, 1-time WWE Hardcore champion, 1-time WWE Lightweight Heavyweight champion, 4-time WWE Intercontinental champion, 9-time Tag Team champion, and a 1-time TNA champion, and 2-time World Heavyweight champion. Now, Christian had to retire due to some complications with a surgery, but he must have had the same surgery that due to neck injuries, but he must have had the same surgery that Edge had, because Christian said it is time for him to make his return back to wrestling, and I'm wishing more power to him. All Elite is just a great product. I am so proud of this wrestling company because you're cracking the whip on Vince McMahon and you letting them know that WWE is not the only show in town. And All Elite looks like it's going to be here to stay for a long time. And I am happy to see it, because now when you have multiple products, you kind of cracking the whip, so to speak. You're saying, bring your A game because we're going to bring our A game. And then when you do that, you're going to enhance the product of your show. Keep more fans around. Great news for them. Going to switch it up to the NFL. 2 more quick points of orders before we get up out of here. The NFL free agency will begin March 17th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So after March 17th, after the clock hits 4 p.m. New York time, you're going to see a mad dash for these teams to sign these players. But speaking of signing, the biggest signing we have just seen is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys got his contract from Dallas. I am so happy for that, man. Dak Prescott has just agreed to a 4-year, $160 million contract. I believe 120 something is guaranteed. It's just great. I thought Dak Prescott was sure be on his way out of Dallas, or they were going to try to franchise tag him or something. But Dallas paid him. I was a little worried. Remember back in week 5, he had that horrific injury, which he snapped his ankle in half. So a lot of people, thought the writing was on the wall with Dak because he was actually fighting for a contract, and getting an injury like that, it's like, okay, now Dallas kind of has the leverage to not pay that man. But Dallas paid that man. And I'm so happy for Dak Prescott. I believe he's going to be seeing like 40-something million a year. I mean, that is crazy money, man. And I hope that he thrives in Dallas. I don't see Dallas winning the championship anytime soon. However, Dallas definitely does have a great quarterback in Dak Prescott. And it's good that, he has some type of stability in his life to know he'll be in Dallas at least for the next 4 years. And that's my show, y'all. That's my show. I appreciate you guys for coming in. I wasn't going to miss you guys. Had a long day. Today was one of those days I was like, I'll just do a show on Saturday and try to recap everything. But no, we got to stay on point. We got to keep our mind focused on the task at hand because bringing you a great product is my pleasure. And that's what I live for, you guys. I'm glad you guys stuck around for the show. Remember, like this video, share this video, subscribe to this video. Check your boy out on iTunes and Spotify. Also, look your boy up, Rob's 2 Cents, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm out here. Man, this has been your boy Rob Scott leading the hottest conversation in the nation. I hope you guys continue to have a great one. Have a great, productive week. Continue to be great. And you guys already know the slogan, baby. We gone. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to look past the illusions, look past the delusions of grandeur, and look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And we gone.